Day night, and you are at the regular school board meeting of the North Bend School District. With that, we'll say the flag pledge. The flag's to my left.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hey, thank you. We will now have the roll call. We have Michelle Roberts, Carol Yardley, myself, Jim Jordan, Julie Thies, Christina Simpson, and Mary Schilling. We have 6 board members. Steve Ryan is not here this evening. Okay. Item 2, approval of the agenda. Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
I'll second that.
There's a motion to present the agenda as presented, and there is a second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay, the agenda passes unanimously. Item 3, Teacher Appreciation Week Resolution 2023-02. And we're going to read the resolution, but Christina Simpson does very good reading things like that. So
Jim?
if you could read that, Christina, that would be great. Thank you.
Resolution 2023-02. Whereas teachers contribute to the North Bend School District with their talent, discipline, and skill, which provide a strong base for the smooth operation of a classroom. And whereas the annual observance of Teacher Appreciation Week is an excellent opportunity for the community to recognize the countless contributions made by teachers throughout the year. And whereas teachers have an impressive commitment to the youth of North Bend, helping to make a productive difference in their lives and educational experiences, while acting as positive role models. And whereas teachers demonstrate the outstanding contributions, as an educator, encouraging family learning and the involvement of parents in the community and the education of our young people, while working with students of all backgrounds, abilities, and interests. And whereas it is fitting to recognize the competency, efficiency, and devotion of teachers through the designation of this week. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the North Bend School District Board of Directors does hereby proclaim the week of May 8th through the 12th, 2023 as Teacher Appreciation Week, and calls on communities and management to join in recognizing these outstanding professionals. Adopted this 4th day of May 2023. And I'll go ahead and make that a motion.
Yeah.
Approval of resolution 2023-02 to proclaim May 8th to 12th, 2023 as Teacher Appreciation Week for the North Bend School District.
I second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-02 as set forth above. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. That is unanimous. We have some teachers here this evening, don't we? I think we do. We do, ladies and gentlemen. Teachers are, you could say, the tip of the spear, the coal face, however you want to put it, but they are on the front lines, and it is a challenging job, and we appreciate the job you do. So thank you very much. Hey, item 4, public participation.
Don't have any.
There is none. Is that correct? Okay, I will not even read that. Moving on, item 5, communications. Board reports and communications, 5A. None of those. Student representatives to the board, high school representatives. Taylor,
I'm here.
good to see you.
I missed last month. I apologize for that.
It's all
I had stuff come up, but I did want to see all you guys' lovely faces. Don't worry. Missed you all. We got big things that happened in the high school. I can just pull it up right now. Give me 2 minutes. Here we go. So our Knowledge Bowl team traveled to Marshfield today and placed 2nd place, just missing 1st place by 1 question. In late April, they traveled to Brookings and placed 1st place. Great job, Bulldogs. Our band is traveling to the Mount Hood Jazz Festival this Friday. They will be staying at Corbett High School and they have an OSAA state competition next Wednesday at OSU. Good luck to the band. Also, this past weekend, a record 17 students from North Bend competed at the OSAA State Solo and Ensemble Championships. Congratulations to Maggie Green, Sayla Goslin, Adara Goslin, Julia Kaiser, Maddie Peters, Emilio Reyna, Taylor Thompson, Johnny Kaiser, Kanan Stewart, Jamie Stewart, Izzy Garami, Avery Pex, Eli Mazurbi, Eleanor Tom, Kayla Renard, Monty Jokum, and Grace Steffens on great representation from our school. Also, congrats to Eli and Avery on taking home the third place trophy for their duet, and Emilio Reyna for fourth place, medaling as well in the solo snare competition. Our choir is also traveling to Corvallis tomorrow for the OSAA state competition. Good luck to our choir students and director. The North Bend High School esports team won the Pacific Region playoffs. There were 30 teams competing from Oregon, Washington, Arizona, and California. Our softball team is currently in first place. They play at Cottage Grove tomorrow, and next Friday we'll play a doubleheader at Marshfield. Our baseball team recently beat Marist, who was ranked second in state. Our team is currently in second place and will most likely get a home playoff game in a couple of weeks. North Bend High School will be hosting the district tennis tournaments for both boys and girls next week. The boys will play Monday and Tuesday, and the girls will play on Thursday and Friday. Our boys and girls golf teams are golfing in their district tournaments this week. Our girls were in third place yesterday. The top 4 teams in our league qualify for the OSAA state championships next week. Our new baseball scoreboard is up and running at Clyde Allen Field. The previous scoreboard was over 20 years old. We want to thank Bay Area Sportsman Association, Y Marina, Dr. Scott Roberts, Kenware, Chevrolet, and Joe Blig, and Randy Hoffman from Pacific Properties. Each of these people donated $5,000 to help us purchase the new board. North Bend High School and the rest of the SkyM League schools recently held talent shows. Each school picked 2 participants to travel to Junction City High School on Monday, and today they went to Marshfield High School to perform. North Bend was represented by Jake Newsom, who sang the song Bruises, and Jacob Randall and Noel Jaderos, who performed a theme from the movie Blades of Glory. Both acts were huge hits in our show, as well as the other schools. And those kids literally performed Blades of Glory, like they were in makeup and wigs and everything. It was one of the best shows I've ever seen in my life. I'll tell you that. It was funny. The North Bend High School Drama Dogs present Miss Nelson is Missing. The show is based upon the children's book by Harry Allard and adapted by Jeffrey Hatcher. This weekend, the show is Friday at 7 p.m., Saturday and Sunday at 2 p.m. in the North Bend High School multi-purpose room. Our North Bend High School Junior Senior Prom will be held at the North Bend Regional Airport on Saturday, May 13th. Our theme this year is the Roaring 20s. ASB elections are coming up. They start campaigning Monday, and elections are May 16th. They will give speeches to the students of why they should be in ASB, and voting will start. North Bend High School College and Career Center is hosting a Junior Jumpstart event. This event will be for juniors and their families to help them prepare to navigate their upcoming senior year and an overyear of career and knowledge readiness. This will be held on Wednesday, May 10th at 5:30 p.m. in the North Bend High School Library. That's all, folks.
Right, so that was,
That's why I know.
Daryl, we got graduation the 9th of June, is that right? Sure. Taylor, are you graduating?
No, I'm a sophomore.
Oh, we got years of you then,
You
okay.
guys got me for like a good.
Oh,
two
good.
more years.
Thank you. All right. Thank you, Taylor. Okay. All right, thank you, Taylor. 5C Association Reports, Ava Varga.
So I have a very short presentation tonight. Most of the schools, almost all the grade levels have been just immersed in state testing the past couple of weeks. So we're all walking around like zombies, kids and staff alike. But the Hillcrest music concerts have wrapped up, and Mrs. Rogers did a fabulous job of getting the kids ready for that, and getting the community to come in and see all the students perform. Mrs. Jennifer Hempel at the high school has recently attended a conference in Atlanta, Georgia, representing the career the CTE programs at the high school. So that's exciting. And I was going to share what he shared, the band and choir at the state competitions. And so that's super exciting. That it was really nice to see that some of the ensemble groups placed. So that's awesome. And I myself have a couple, like 3 students who are juniors this year, who I'm hoping by the end of this year will have taken what's called a stamp test. It's one of many different standardized tests that students can take to demonstrate their proficiency in a language other than English. And so hopefully if they score well enough, they can earn the seal of biliteracy. And at this point in time, no one in Coos County has earned this. And it's my goal to start making this happen. So it's for all multilingual students, those who speak another language at home, and those who, like myself, start learning a second language once they get to high school. So there's so many different language options available. And the stamp test is one that you can schedule the test, and basically like 3 weeks out, you can take the test and then you can get results like 2 weeks later or something like that. I'm like, this might be the best one. The AP test is only offered once a year, and then it takes like 2 months to get your results. So, and there's very few languages available in that one. So I'm hoping that we can start also celebrating the students who do speak other languages at home, so that they can get some world language credit on their transcripts, even for languages that we don't necessarily teach, but ones that they can demonstrate proficiency on by testing. Anyway, that was not very well elucidated, but anyway. So any questions? As I said, it was short.
Thank you.
Much to say.
One question, you said we're doing state testing this week.
Well,
Is-
yes.
Is there any sense, have we done better this year?
We
with
don't get
participation?
scores. Oh, in terms of participation?
Yeah.
Yes, from the high school? Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Hillcrest has always had strong testing percentage, and we're holding true to that.
Yeah, and I had 100% of my students participate in the ELPA test, but they can't opt out, so, but 100%.
100% a good number.
Show up, though, that's what happened in the past, but, and the last thing, we're looking forward to going into bargaining with y'all very soon, so next week.
Thank you, Ava. Okay, next agenda item 6, action/consent agenda items. I think it's all consent. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda items?
I'll go ahead and make a motion to approve the consent agenda items.
Second.
Okay, there is a motion to approve the action/consent agenda items and a second. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Tiffany Rush, I see you're down there for District Office Administrator, 29 years retirement. Race well run. Thank you. We're going to miss you too, Stacia. I see your names there also. Thank you. Okay, item 7, National School Nurse Day Resolution 2023-03.
You get there.
And if Michelle, can you read that? Thank you
Yes,
very
I will read that. Resolution 2023-03. Whereas May 10th, 2023 is recognized as the National Day of School Nurses by the North Bend School District. And whereas this date was established in 1972 as National School Nurse Day to recognize and honor school nurses. And whereas National Nurse Week is recognized annually from May 8th to 12th, and National School Nurse Day is to be celebrated on the Wednesday of that week. And whereas the North Bend School District acknowledges the hard work and dedication of school nurses in North Bend, as well as within the state of Oregon, not just on National School Nurse Day, but every day. And whereas the North Bend School District is committed to serving, inspiring, and promoting student and public school success. And therefore, be it resolved that the North Bend School District School Board recognizes May 10th, 2023 as National School Nurse Day and the week of May 8th through 12th, 2023 as National Nurse Week.
adopted this 4th day of May 2023. So I'm requesting an approval of resolution 2023-03 to proclaim May 10th, 2023 as National School Nurse Day for the North Bend School District.
Okay, so the motion request is, and I'll make it as I move to approve resolution 2023-03 as set forth above.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve resolution 2023-03 as set forth above. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Passes unanimously. Any nurses here tonight? Okay. I will tell a story. We had a company nurse, and whenever you went to a different country, you had to go maybe get a few more shots. And I always appreciated Nurse Butcher. She could give a shot like you didn't even know you were getting it. So I was always very thankful for her skill at that. All right. Moving on, we've got item 8, interim superintendent screening committee selection. And I'm going to read from the overview. The board will be selecting 3 individuals to serve on the screening committee. Individuals indicating interest in serving on the interim superintendent screening committee were sent a brief application survey to be completed by Thursday, April 27th. This committee will be responsible for confidentially receiving, reviewing, and ranking all candidates electronically prior to the discussion and decision meeting on Thursday, May 11th at 7 p.m. That's next Thursday. This committee will be selecting the candidates who will be invited to the first round of interviews. This will be an executive session. If you are selected to serve on one of the committees, you will be required to complete a non-disclosure agreement, NDA. Failure to electronically sign the NDA by the due date will disqualify you from participation on the committee. That being said, Rob has managed collecting the names. There are 13 names put forward for the 3 positions. They are Megan Kronsteiner, Tracy Lang, Barb Brooks, Edward Nichols, Heather Fleming, Sarah Ashley Taylor, Naomi Olsted, Barbara Schultz, Joanne Moss, Anna Hewitt, Lisa Harnden, David Hernandez, and Zachary Martin. So the process we're going to use is
Sure, Jordan.
Yeah.
Is that 13 or 20 to 26?
it's actually good question on the on our notes. It's actually the second 13. It's below the bar.
Yeah, I see that.
Yeah.
now.
So thank you for asking that,
Yes.
Christina.
Yeah.
So it's the 13 below the black bar. They actually appear second in the spreadsheet. Great question.
Okay.
So the process we were going to use is board members can, a sample motion is I move to appoint blank to the interim superintendent screening committee. I'll briefly read their statement, which is 300 characters or less, and then there can be a discussion and then a board vote. With that, are there any nominees?
I would like I move to appoint Heather Fleming to the interim superintendent screening committee. I second that.
Okay, so there is a motion to appoint Heather Fleming to the screening committee, the interim superintendent screening committee. There's a motion and a second, and I will read what Heather said. Most of my years have been in the elementary and recently based at the district office. I work in 3 of the 5 North Bend buildings. I feel this gives me a unique perspective of our district, how all the working parts work together, and the importance of a strong leader to steer the district in a positive direction. With that, is there any further discussion of Heather Fleming? Oh, your silence is no. Okay. With that, we'll take a vote. All in favor of appointing Heather Fleming to the interim screening committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. So I think that was unanimous. We've got 1. Okay, with that, are there any other motions?
Yeah, I move to appoint Anna, is it Hewitt? Did I say that right?
You did.
Okay.
Okay, there is a motion to appoint Anna Hewitt Is there a second?
I'll second that.
There is a motion and a second to appoint Anna Hewitt. Okay, Anna, varying perspectives are important to this success. My perspectives come from active years in North Bend School District. As a mom of 4 boys at 4 sites, I bring unique views built from experience. I want to see success for North Bend School District, beginning with a leader who can collaborate, communicate, and lead the direction for North Bend education. Any further discussion of Anna Hewitt? Okay, with that, all in favor of appointing Anna Hewitt to the interim superintendent screening committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Unanimous, so that's 2. Oh, sorry. So it was a 5-1. So Anna Hewitt's appointed to, thank you for that clarification. Anna Hewitt's appointed to that. Okay, any other motion? We've got 2.
I nominate Zachary Martin. I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to nominate Zachary Martin. I'm going to read Zachary's comment. I want to give back to the employer that provided so many great opportunities for me. I also feel it is my duty of service to my community. Okay, any discussion of Zachary? Okay, with that, we will take a vote. All in favor of appointing Zachary Martin to the interim superintendent screening committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Nays? Okay, I think it was 6-0. So Zachary Martin is the third. Okay, a little bit on the forward plan for the screening committee. You will be required to complete the NDA that's been emailed to you, will be emailed to you by Rob Hess. The interim superintendent job posting closes at midnight this Saturday, May 6th. Rob Hess will email the list of resumes for interim superintendent Sunday, May 7th. And then May 11th, next Thursday, the screening committee will meet in executive session at 7 p.m. plus or minus to review and screen the candidates. And we have a budget meeting prior to that, so the time might change slightly. The goal of the screening committee is to get down to 6 to 8 candidates. And there will be a Zoom option. Is that correct? Okay.
Do we? Did we nominate, because I had a couple other names for the screening committee. We got all 3 and that's.
You got 3. Yeah.
Oh,
we're done.
so, all right. Guess I should have motioned a lot faster.
Okay. All right. That completes that one. Item 8. We are now on to agenda item 9. Interim superintendent interview committee selection. And I will read that one. And just to be clear on the spreadsheet with the names, it is the first 13 names on that.
So when are we gonna do I did not even, oh, now I'm blonde. I did not even notice that there was a difference. I didn't notice that there was round 1 interview and screening committee. I just thought they were all the same.
No worries.
My bad.
No worries.
So when are we gonna do the round 1 interview committee?
Right now. So, okay, here we go. I'm going to read the overview. Interim superintendent interview committee selection. The board will be selecting 3 individuals to serve on the interview committee. Individuals indicating interest on serving on the superintendent interview committee were sent a brief application survey to be completed by Thursday, April 27th. This committee will participate in the confidential in-person interviews on Saturday, May 20th between 8 and 3 p.m. The committee will conduct interview training from 8 a.m. to 8:45. Then the first interview will begin at 9 a.m. This will be an executive session. If you're selected to serve on one of the committees, you will be required to complete a non-disclosure agreement. Failure to electronically sign the NDA by the due date will disqualify you from participation in the committee. Okay, there was 13 names on the interview committee or candidates for this: Bob Adams, Janet Lee, Sammy Pearson, Michelle Bricks, Oliver Keating, Talia Prickett, Jennifer Gill, Ava Varga, Pam Romenko, Heidi Fegels, Nathan McClintock, Tom Lindahl, and Jeremy Estes. So we'll follow a similar process as we just did. And is there a motion to appoint
I
blank?
move to appoint Jennifer Gill.
Second that.
Okay, there's a motion to appoint Jennifer Gill and a second. Let me read what Jennifer said. Hang fire. Jennifer Gill, I believe it is important for parents to be represented on this committee as we are our children's first and most important teacher. Currently, I feel the communication has been lacking from the past and current administration. I would like a candidate that feels parents are important to the North Bend School District. Is there any further discussion of Jennifer Gill? Okay, with that, we'll take a vote. All in favor of appointing Jennifer Gill to the interview committee, say aye.
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 No.
No. So 5-1. Jennifer is on the committee. Okay. Okay, with that, are there any other motions?
Yes, I move to appoint Tom Lindell. Is it Lindell? Is that how you say it? To this interview committee?
I'll second that.
Okay, there is a motion and a second to appoint Tom Lindahl to the interview committee. Let me read Tom's comments. This position for our district is integral to the overall success of our students and teachers. Successful students and teachers are important for an overall successful community. As a community member with a longtime district and community involvement, I believe I could be a valuable interviewer. Any further discussion of Tom Lindahl? Okay, with that, we will vote. All in favor of appointing Tom Lindahl to the interview committee, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay. All right, Tom is the second person appointed to the interview committee.
I have a nomination I would like to be considered. Michelle Brooks.
Okay, there is a motion to nominate Michelle Bricks.
I'll second that.
There is a motion and a second to nominate Michelle Bricks. Okay, I will read her comments. As a North Bend School District employee, I realize the need to have a quality superintendent. While I'm a newer employee, North Bend is home to me as I grew up here and went through the North Bend School District. My position as a family advocate, I see the barriers students face, and I hope to help select someone who will address these issues. Okay, is there any other discussion of Michelle Bricks? Okay, with that, we will vote on appointing Michelle Bricks to the interview committee. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any nays? Okay, it's like 6-0. I think that's our third. So we're good. Okay, let's a little bit on the forward plan on the interview committee. They are required to complete an NDA. Next Thursday, May 11th, there will be interview questions will be reviewed by Rob Hess during our meeting. And then May 20th, here's where the interview committee comes in from 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. There will be interviews. That's a Saturday. And the goal would be to have 6 to 8 interviews maximum. Okay, with that. Item 10. Public hearing Title VI Indian Education. Tiffany, do you start us off? And Tracy?
Hello,
Hello.
We thought we might share a few pieces of information, especially with some of our new board members that may have not heard some of the particulars last year when we talked a little bit about Indian education. We'll share some information and then Mr. Jordan will open it up for a public hearing. If anyone would like to add comments before we close the hearing. But just before we begin, I just wanted to share a little bit about our particular program. We do receive each year, it varies a little bit, but approximately $20,000 to specifically provide academic and social supports for our students who qualify for Indian education. And so last year, it was a year of transition for us. Tracy and I both came on board at the district office to help support this particular grant. We mapped out based on what had transpired before and continued with a couple of the key pieces that have happened year after year, which is making sure that we provide support for kindergarten through high school level for our students. It was a little more difficult during COVID to be able to do those activities and the connections. Currently, in terms of academic supports, we've been using a virtual tutoring option where parents can choose that option. They can choose whether they want it morning, noon, night, weekends, whether they want whether it's a small group, which is potentially, we have not done this yet, but potentially if a parent didn't have time to help support with the tutoring piece, the online components, we could actually have a small group at school, like on a Friday afternoon outside of the educational time, where we would have a virtual tutor support that small group that were having difficulties in the same academic area. And then actually our most successful place right now with the virtual tutoring is actually helping a student who English is a second language. And currently the student is in a high school math course and struggling with their home language and understanding the math content. And so they stay within their math class, but they have an outside virtual tutor that helps support them make those connections so they can continue to operate in the math course successfully. So we've used a variety of pieces there. And I bring that as a side note that isn't necessarily under Indian education, but just in terms of we're using virtual tutoring in a variety of ways to help connect students with academic needs and helping families support because the after school programs are really difficult in terms of busing. I'll say no more there right now. Michelle Bricks, as you just mentioned briefly, she is our attendance advocate and she is part of her funding comes from the tribal attendance project through the state of Oregon. And she is here to support all students, but primarily making sure that our students from our two local tribes are receiving supports and having barriers removed for attendance. And then Tracy Lang has graciously stepped up and helped to lead our particular Indian education supports for our students who qualify under Title VI of the federal government in terms of qualifying with a 506 form, which means either they, their parents, or their grandparents have an affiliation with the tribe that we can verify. And so that's a particular, I would say roughly we have 80 to 85 students, K-12 who qualify at this moment. And we do provide a family meeting and a survey. Survey typically comes first to capture information, and then the parent meeting to gather input, find ways to connect with each other. And we do have that parent meeting coming this Monday night. And I'll let Tracy speak a little bit to that. And then also just briefly, she wanted to share a little bit of the website she designed last year and is keeping current. And then Mr. Jordan is willing to open up the hearing. We'll see if we have any other questions or comments.
So for the meeting on Monday, it's going to be from 6 to 7 at the back patio at the back alley. We have appetizers and a gift card giveaway. Hoping to be able to talk about the summer plans from the Confederated Tribe. Jemiah, who is our new education person there, is going to be coming to talk. We're going to talk about tutoring options. We're talking about the trails out at North Bay and some options there, some possible new signage coming into the buildings. So we have kind of a fun agenda and hoping that we're going to get a good showing. So I haven't had a lot of luck in the last two meetings, so I'm trying a new approach with a restaurant and appetizers and see if that helps get people there. I'm hopeful. So anyway, so that is what's coming up on Monday. So hopefully we'll be able to give you a good report on that one at the next meeting or at a future time. So the other thing, a year ago, when we were here, we talked about the the Native Connections website. So there's two things that I was kind of hoping to be able to highlight and kind of show you that are on there. And I don't know, I think this is ready. Okay, we're up on here. Is there a way? Do you have screens?
Yeah, we
there?
have.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, I'm behind the times. All right, so this is the website that I made last year to help highlight our Native American connections and show the community. There's two things on here that I wanted to highlight. The first one is the past, present, and future. If you click on this one and scroll down, you will find all of the tribes that are currently represented in our district. So the top part is all of the tribes who have students in our district right now. And at the very bottom of the page are students who were here at one time, but they have since left our district, either moved or graduated. But I want to make sure that we always show who was here and not just who is currently here. So that's kind of a fun one. Enjoy keeping up with all of the different tribes. And if you click on the tribal names, it will take you to their website. So that way, if a student knows which tribe they are a part of, or they want to know more, they can click there. The other one that is a new ad since last time is the maps. So one of the things I heard at one of our previous meetings was there's more than just the 9 federally recognized tribes. And could we get some representation from that? So I was able to locate a couple of maps that might give a little bit better idea of where some of those tribes were located, not only in Oregon, but across the US. So hopefully people can find some of the other tribes in these 3 maps and kind of know a little bit more about where they were located or where their families were originally from. So those are 2 new additions. Everything on there should be updated. There's scholarship information. There's information about the federally recognized tribes. There's information on education and all kinds of things. But I just wanted to highlight those 2 areas for you tonight. And that's, I think it's back to you, Mr. Jordan.
Thank you. Thank you, ladies. Any questions from the board?
No, I just really like the website.
Yeah.
It looks great.
Thank
Really,
you.
guys did a great job.
Good.
developing that.
Thanks. I enjoy adding more. So if anybody has input of what would be a neat thing to add, I am game, and just let me know.
The maps was really cool.
Mhm.
Thanks.
Yeah.
And I also.
I didn't want you to take it away. I was still looking.
There.
I also like your idea of doing the meeting at the back alley. I think that's a great idea. Anytime you have food, you're probably gonna get more people in attendance, so.
What I'm hoping
Creativity there.
I really want to get everybody and input, and on the survey I have, what activities do you want? What can I get on the calendar? If you want a bowling night, great, I'll get one, but I need.
They picked eating.
Well, I'm hoping they picked eating and a gift card giveaway. I'm hoping. So if it works, we will definitely keep the tradition going to get people to come.
And students are welcome as well.
Mhm. Awesome.
Free food's an enabler.
Yeah.
And I picked really good appetizers, so.
Okay, thank you, ladies.
Thank you.
So with that, I will open the Title VI in Indian Education Public Hearing. That is item 10A. Are there any public comments or questions? Anyone gonna say something at the hearing?
Yeah, I love the website. So students can go back and know more about their. Yeah, thanks.
Thank you. With that, any other comments before we close the public hearing? We'll officially close the public hearing. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I guess you,
You want me, okay, I'll stay for math.
okay. Next on the agenda, item 11, mathematics grade 6 to 12 curriculum adoption. Looks we got an action item on this one.
Please.
Okay, looks like it is Tiffany Rush.
And I'll
Okay.
hang out too.
Thank you, Tracy.
Tracy has done an amazing job helping support this process for our secondary level teachers. So those are our middle and our high school teachers, involving our math instructors and also our teachers in special education, looking at a variety of items that meet state criteria. So some major items would be a strong scope and sequence, a rigorous learning objectives that link to the current state adopted standards. And then also the accessibility. So is there an online feature? Are there features for additional support? And then another factor is like the ease and the use for teachers as well. And so there's a variety of pieces there. Most of you know that we start typically with, have started with the state list that's released. We don't necessarily have to stay with that state list. However, if we veer from that list, we have to demonstrate what we want, how that links back to the state standard. So typically we start there, and if we don't find that it's meeting needs, then we will look elsewhere. But we've been very fortunate last year with language arts and this year with math, that our teams came together very quickly. This is a remarkable event when we have our middle and high school level agree on the same curriculum. It's just amazing, and we're thrilled to be able to do that. And I think last month Gina Dixon had come and shared with you some of her highlights of what she is really excited about. We just had 2 folks view the curriculum, and one did reiterate with the changes in the state standards that they appreciated the quadratic coming out of the Algebra 1 level and having a greater emphasis at Algebra 2. But other than that, there's not a lot to summarize because there's very little input on the selections. And so ultimately, we would like to move, I think maybe earlier, maybe on a review, I'd mentioned it was copyright 22. It's actually copyright 2024. And so we are asking for an approval from the board for a 7-year adoption cycle. And it will come with free professional learning. We will have some in June. Well, our hope, if you approve tonight, will be some in late May and also in June to get teachers familiar with the materials. And then it'll give them an opportunity over the summer to work through some things. And then we'll have some additional learning in the fall before school starts, but it'll get them a chance to get into the materials and feeling pretty comfortable and confident with the enhanced materials as well as the online material.
I have a question. I can't remember if you addressed this before, and maybe I asked before. Are the K through 6 going to, or K through 5 going to come in another year or 2, or how does that work?
Yeah, next year.
So
Yeah.
1 year apart.
Yes, we postponed the elementary for 1 year because of the reading adoption. It had been so long since we adopted that we felt like we needed a 2nd year to do like a really deep implementation of the materials. And with elementary, with that adoption cycle coming every year, for those people, and it's the same people, it's the reading, then it's the math, and then it's the science. And so giving them an opportunity to dig deep into the new material is really important. So they will be off cycle 1 year for the math material.
What happens with all of the old books?
Well, interestingly enough, like our middle school, it is a math workbook. And so those new workbooks would come every year, and then we would distribute them. And so we have a few older math workbooks. Kingsview is a private school within our boundaries. And so before we get rid of things, we offer them to Kingsview first, and then we will do on the surplus list. But honestly, we have very few. We knew the adoption was coming, so we have ordered like pretty tightly. We have very few. At the high school level, we had books, and so those we'll offer those up, and then we will put them on surplus. And sadly, typically, we don't have any interest in those, the old ones, but we try.
So when you say surplus, try to sell them.
Correct,
Yeah.
correct. And if we don't get any bids, then we will try to give them away before we have to get rid of them. Interestingly enough, with both at the middle and high school level, there is a workbook that comes with these, as well as the hardbound books that some of you saw at the last board meeting. Had a discussion with a few of the teachers and asked them, and they're unsure. So we're making the 7-year commitment to the curriculum, to the hardbound textbooks, but just 1 year for workbooks, and going to see if that is something they want to continue. If it's not, then we don't have a further commitment. And if it is, this figure will be slightly higher, and we'll do the 6-year purchase for that. But we decided rather than having workbooks come every year and then we do not want them stacking up. So.
Good foresight.
Tiffany, I want to thank you and your whole team for all of your work that you put into this. I loved looking at the books. I especially like the part about the free apps that are available. And the books just look good. And I love the Oregon photos and such in there. So I think it could be really interesting.
We're excited. We're very excited. And Tracy spent a tremendous amount of time with the teams and with the administrators as well, helping make some decisions while they work through with the teams. Thank you.
I don't see any language for the actual motion.
Well, with that, I guess is someone on the board going to make a motion? And I guess it would go something like that we would approve Oregon Math, Big Ideas Learning, published by Cengage, copyright 2024 for grades 6 through 8 and high school level, and for middle school courses for the duration of the 7-year state adoption cycle. I just made the motion.
Yes,
so-
yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, and there's a second. Okay.
See the language for that.
Okay, there's a motion and a second to adopt Oregon Math Big Ideas Learning, published by Cengage, copyright 2024 for grades 6 through 8 and the high school level for middle and high school courses for the duration of the 7-year state adoption cycle. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right. I think that's unanimous. One question, how can it be copyrighted in 2024? We're not buying it till,
I do not know.
okay. It's future math. Okay.
Maybe that's when the copyright.
Yeah.
issues, that thing.
Okay, well, thank you. I guess you're staying again for one more.
Tag too.
You're welcome to.
Tracy, might as well stay.
I'm here.
Okay,
But I
thank,
will not leave Heather Fleming out of this as well.
Yeah, Heather can come take my spot.
So as mentioned.
so next item is item 12 on the agenda, talented and gifted tag district plan.
So one of the particular pieces, we have had a district tag plan for quite a few years, I would say, at least from what I'm aware of, maybe 2013, 2014. Although in January of 2022, the state legislature, the state education board made some changes. And so one of the more notable changes was the districts being allowed to set their own criteria, which identifies whether a child is talented or gifted. And Heather has been our lead this year. She has taken on a lot of the screening of the data, communicating with the teachers, collecting information from parents. There's a survey we asked the teacher and the parent to do, reviewing of all that, and then connecting with those families and scheduling meetings. And it's amazing how many students and families she has connected with this year. And one of the conversations we had after she attended quite a bit of training is we were running under the operation at the state level with a 97th percentile or higher in order to qualify. And for the talented identification that was in a particular area in either reading or math. There were some other options, but primarily that's what we were looking at, is the reading and the math or math. And with this change, it's now academic. So it could be, we could have one high score in reading and one high score in math, and we can identify that the student is a high performer in an area of academics. So there are some positives there. However, what we didn't want was criteria that changed per building. We would love to have criteria that was consistent across the region, but we only can control what we can control here in the district. So we are recommending that we stay with that criteria at the 97th percentile. There's always an exception if there is overwhelming evidence and the team makes a decision that has existed for a long time. But we thought we want to be consistent for our students, consistent for our buildings, our families. and maintain that criteria. And then, so the two areas of identification is intellectually gifted. And we use a COGAT screener for that, which is looking at it is looking at the ability for them to think differently that may not necessarily be represented in a high reading score or high math score. They may see things differently. There may be a strength in terms of their communication. And so it's a screener. And then when they screen at a particular level, then we reach out to the parents and ask them to do additional testing. And Heather has been instrumental in organizing the testing. We screen all of our second graders. And then from there, she'll reach out to those families. One of the suggestions based on the new criteria was rather than looking at just the kids that are reaching like 95th percentile or higher for the screener, we moved it. I think, did we look at, is it
We went down to
80 or 90? We went lower.
either 88th or we're kind of looking at the top 20%. And then we kind of looked at the percentile rankings and eventually had to draw the line somewhere.
And that was one of the things Heather had learned from the trainings is cast a wider net. There may be particular students where with one assessment, we may not necessarily see something. And so casting it just a little bit wider, it still doesn't necessarily allow, like we aren't identifying necessarily more students, but it's allowing us to look at a greater group of students. And then from the continued testing with parent permission, it allows us to look a little more carefully. And so that has put Heather in a position to have some difficult conversations after the second round of testing to say, at this time, your child does not qualify. And if it's a child that there's right on the border, then we tend to continue to collect information. Parents can always bring the conversation again, request a meeting again. And then we always have the option of having our school psychologist do additional testing if we're unsure. And typically that is the parent making that request if need be.
Do you only screen second graders?
For this particular assessment for COGAT, yes.
So I can see that with like a base, but what happens like if it's the first year, like all the other kids just don't, well, you just don't do it or?
Well, in terms of the intellectually gifted, typically things are coming as they get a little bit older. Things will come about, whether it's state testing where we get
Then
more
you would be tagged.
information.
They would be tagged at that point.
Correct.
Okay.
Or if we have a teacher saying, you know, this child thinks very differently. They've got a really creative way they think. And then we could look at potentially additional testing with parent permission.
Or like if kids move in.
Correct, correct. And that is one of the other pieces is if it's a child that moves in from Oregon, we have to accept that identification. It's part of my job, part of our job to make sure the paperwork is there and we have that verification. However, if they're moving from out of state into Oregon, we can look and see if there's enough information that we feel comfortable with that identification, or we need to work through our own process to see if the identification comes about. So we are going to, we have a draft plan right now. We're working through Lisa Harnden, Bruce Martin, Heather and I and Tracy Lang will sit down. One of the bigger pieces in the new plan is really emphasizing professional learning for our teachers, making sure that teachers identify, like, are there particular students who are thinking differently that we need to make sure we're meeting their needs and being able to better differentiate. And so we had to draft 3 goals and I have taken a crack at those. Although the next day I thought a little bit more about them and wondered if I was taking on too much. And so Heather and Lisa and Tracy will give us feedback as to next fall, what that looks like. And we will finalize that draft and bring it back to you in June. And then we have to submit it by June 15th to the state and they will give us their final feedback and their approval, or we'll need to come back and make some changes and bring it back to you. Heather, did I leave anything out?
Quick question on, you said that you were looking at going down to say the 80th percentile and identifying more students potentially, or
That was just the screener, so that the more students were offered the second round of testing.
okay,
You still had to meet that 97th percentile to
gotcha.
qualify.
Okay,
But it did give us some really insightful data on some of our students, and it was actually a really good opportunity to talk to some parents whose students might have some behavior struggles in the classroom, and they may not be scoring as high academically. And it was a good chance for these parents to get a positive phone call like, hey, your student performed top in the second grade. Can we dig a little deeper? So they were pretty receptive to those phone calls.
But we do want to stay with that 97th percentile. For the vast majority, again, there's always an exception with the team making a decision. But we think it's really important to hold a rigorous level to that. And then I will add that there is no state funding for this particular service. We don't necessarily call it a program because there's not a particular program. It's services we offer, which is also included in the plan. The variety of offerings we have for our students across each of the levels, elementary, middle, and high school. Middle and high school, we have a better opportunity to do some differentiation with honors courses, and we have to get a lot more creative at the elementary level. But that is one of the things in the plan as well, as we have to be a little more creative in how we better offer some things, especially to our elementary students, and allow them to have an opportunity to engage with others who think at a very high level as well. So we'll get creative, whether that's after school club, whether that's some time within the day. Again, I don't want to make some promises for something I can't commit to, but something that's doable.
You'll be retired next year.
Exactly.
So
Plan and hold us to it.
I guess, I'm a big supporter of whatever we can offer in the TAG program. I think that all our students should be educated to reach their highest potential. And I support that we have a program that is going to challenge that top 3% plus or minus, challenge them academically, and so they won't be bored, because we don't want to lose people because they're bored. So yeah, I support it, and I look forward to hearing about the plan in June.
And it could be maybe some of the behavior issues is because they're bored.
Yeah.
They're too smart.
That's one of the learnings from the professional learning at the state is often some of our dropouts are particular students who perform very high and don't necessarily see the need to jump through the hoops and follow these rules when they know it already. And so are there different ways that we can help them demonstrate their learning?
Or they may be our square pegs that don't fit into the round hole.
Yeah.
Sure.
Sounds good.
Well,
Thank you. So we'll see you in June.
Thank you. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you, ladies. Agenda item 13, board comments. Comment. Okay, item 14, information only. Next Thursday night here. Budget Committee, May 11th, 6 p.m. Oh, I'm glad I read that. Okay, then there will be a special board meeting with the executive session for the interim superintendent search, the screening committee. And then 2 Thursday nights from now, budget committee, the second one, May 18th at 6 p.m. And then after that, the interviews will happen in special executive session Saturday, May 20th at 8:30 a.m. We'll be spending a lot of time together this coming month. So, okay. With that, I think we'll move on and adjourn. Thank you for coming here this evening. Appreciate it. My gosh, it's 7 o'clock.